Mobile Suit Gundam has always been a real robot show. Definitely skirting towards the upper end of real robot, it still has always been bound to realistic physics to some degree. Sometimes going a little off the wall, but staying real robot. Never ever really crossing that line into the super robot spectrum. And when you think Gundam and real robot, there's nothing quite as real robot as Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS team. And that is why I absolutely adore the RX-79G Gundam ground type. This is a real robot through and through. Clunky, bipedal, tank on legs. Everything from the robot itself, the equipment the Gundam carries, the way it carries the equipment, all the way down to improvised on-the-battlefield repairs resulting in the EZ-8. 100% I recommend checking out the 8th MS team if you have not yet. It really is a perfect 90s dose of Gundam real robot action and has been responsible for one of the most iconic Gundam scenes of all time. As always, this video right here would not have been possible without those fantastic people over at Bai, link in the description. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at something that I've meant to take a look at for so long. This right here is the high-grade RX-79G Gundam ground type, and this is from back in 2018, so not necessarily that long ago, definitely a decent enough time for high-grade kits. Overall, this looks very nice. I have built some variants of this kit before, some P-Bandai variants. I think it was the Slave Wraith versions. But for whatever reason, I've just never gotten around to the iconic ground Gundam itself. Now, I absolutely love it when stores do wrap boxes just like this. So this is wrapped in a kind of plastic film. Sometimes I do have to keep some gunpla in the garage just to kind of, well, gunpla boxes do take up a lot of space, and this really does save them from getting damp. Anyway, let's get it opened up. Alright, so busting open the box to see what we've got on in here. So, I already see the backpack. I love the ground Gundam's backpack. It's one of the coolest designs. So we've got 4 bags of runners in here. 2 of them are quite small, so it seems like there's not going to be a whole ton of building in here. So definitely a bit of a classic high grade when it comes to a build. When it comes to the manual, it's the usual UC layout with all the specs of the particular mobile suit in question. Around in the back, we've got some images of what it looks like. This is a post-2016 release, so everything here is translated to English. Again, we do have the backpack, one of the coolest aspects of the ground type Gundam, and this is one of those kits you just really can't get one of. You need to get a whole bunch to finish off the squad. Anyway, opening it up, we've got some more information about what this kit will be like once it is complete, and we do have 8 runners of plastic in here, and speaking of which, we've got the A runner in multiple colors, grey, yellow, red, and blue. The B runner here is all in white. We've got some great molding, especially on stuff like the calf armor down there and around the neck armor too. Looking good. A2 in dark grey. B2 right here repeating some of the B parts. C making up the majority of the backpack, which apparently is a 2007 runner, so this is right off of the older high-grade ground Gundam it seems. C1, bunch of grey parts, do have a widespread hand, always nice. C2 repeating some of the joints. Standard Revive style polycaps. Standard pink beam sabers. The eyes in here are on a separate runner in clear green, and we do have some color correcting stickers and some decals for numbering your squad. So first up, when it comes to the build, we've got the leg. I've got one of them finished right here, and it's a simple, nice build with some decent articulation all around. We've got some limitations to some degree, like not too crazy of a toe bend here, it is there, but overall nice, simple, and to the point, Revive style build. And what I mean by Revive style build is we've got polycaps pretty much all of the moving parts like the ankle here. As for this toe bend, maybe you do get a little bit more. There almost feels like a little bit of a click here. It'll be interesting once the armor's on. Popping that on, and no, it seems like it kind of gets blocked by this, so maybe if you put a little bit of a cutout or something in there, you'd get more. Bit of wasted potential, sadly. There's a view onto the inside of the knee, so it's a usual 2-point bend. Polycap attaches down here. However, as far as I know, this part doesn't actually do any hinging. When that bit is attached in, it is locked into position. We have another one of those joints down here. When it comes to the front armor, we do have a nice bit of color separation, which I really like. It just pops on in from behind like so to just come out the knee. Looking great. One of those single point polycaps for the hip joint. The thigh armor just slides on from above. Hip joint pops in like so, and then the foot attaches on like that. So simple, effective, and whoops, forgot the armor compartment. So yeah, that little compartment right there is for attaching the beam saber into, and Bandai did nicely detail the inside of that. This just pops on over like so. You can pop the beam saber in there, but I'm going to do that a little bit later on in the accessories. Up to the waist now, and starting with a polycap ball, side to side rocking hips right here. locked on in with a non-moving butt flap. So next up here you need to attach in a sticker, and this is one of the most annoying to attach on stickers ever. It's for the little yellow V on the Gundam's crotch. Basically you just throw it on there and you kind of have to bend it over the V just like so. It's a little difficult to do. The red section then pops through the white front armor. This is what holds on the front skirting armors. And then you attach it on like so. So you can cut these front skirting armors apart. What I did is I usually cut them about 90% of the way through and then just separate them while they're in there. Makes it a lot easier, and they always seem to seem, well, a little less loose than if you cut them and clean them entirely when they are separate from the kit. Side skirts consist of 2 parts and the old hinge polycap. Once that's popped on, then we do have ball joint front skirts and the usual hinge side polycap, but for the most part, fairly static waist. Moving up to the body now, and you start with the waist joint. That's a polycap onto this bit. Stack up the waist onto it, attaching that joint. This section here is just kind of free floating. Bit of a perpendicular joint here, attaches in to the front of the body like so. It's really interesting to see the points where Bandai started phasing out polycaps, because these are the usual kind of shoulder joints, but these are in full plastic, not off the polycap runner. So it is interesting to see, and it's something that I've always wondered. It's like, if you could get a full plastic runner that pretty much emulates this little set right here, can you update your kits to have full plastic going on in them? That'd be interesting to see. No polycap neck here either, and you know, in a vacuum there is nothing wrong with polycaps at all. Actually, sometimes they do beat poorly designed plastic joints, definitely, but there's something about the strength usually about the plastic that is nice, the plastic on plastic. Finishing off with some colored details in red, yellow, white, and white. And there we go, there it is complete. Fairly simple. We do have a neck joint up here. The ab crunch is interesting. It's already kind of clashing into itself a little bit, but overall not too bad. I guess we'll see when it's assembled. Moving on to the arm now, and this is what the shoulder is like. So the arm is mounted directly into the actual shoulder, which sometimes does limit articulation a little bit. It's just a polycap in there, both bits attached together, a bit of a mold line present right there, which you may want to sand off before you actually attach these 2 bits together, because you can get in there a little easier beforehand. Once again, we've got a 2-point joint for the elbow, pops on into the arm armor. The hard point comes through with a nice bit of grey. Wrist cuff, making it a double ball joint. Upper armor, lower shoulder armor. Shoulder then pops on via polycap like so. All finished off with a hand. So this right here is what we get in the end. So double nice joint right there. Upper arm swivel. The shoulder is attached into the arm, which is always, or should I say the arm is attached into the shoulder, which will limit it to some degree. But overall, simple, quick and effective. Next up is the backpack, and this has always been one of my favorite parts of the ground type. Basically, it's a big old kind of lifting compartment for holding onto the backpack. So this right here is basically kind of like the little kind of forklift or mounting point for the backpack. We attach all these parts together to get the moving bottom segment. This then attaches into the backpack proper, just like so, and sandwiches in between 2 parts, and there's your twin peg backpack adapter. Those other ones were the bottom ones. This one is going to be, or should I say these ones are going to be the top segments, and they pop in here like so, and then we've got 2 verniers, one on this side, flip it over, and one on the other. So that is what the backpack looks like closed up with both those verniers down there. And then it opens up on top like so, and then down here on the bottom like that for grabbing onto the container. Pretty cool. So the last of the actual robot build is the Gundam head itself, and again, I love the absolute classic look of the ground type. It's like the RX 78-2, just again, a little bit more simple, and that works so well. As for the build of this, you have to attach the clear eye section and the muzzle onto the red segment. It is a little bit sad that you do have to cover up the clear parts with the sticker, but you do, unless you're going to actually paint around the eyes in a black yourself. Then you just pop the back and the front onto the head, the 2 side parts like so, and then the V-fin to finish it off. Alright, so final assembly time, and this was a, well, record speed, easy to build, fast Gundam. So if you're looking for something to build a little squad of quickly, especially an 8th MS team squad, of course, this is the perfect kit for it. It does feel like a squad builder kit, not necessarily an army builder, as in it's not that quick, but still overall quite quick to build. So if you got yourself a couple of these and the gyms and the Easy 8, you'll have yourself a squad in absolutely no time at all. Anyway, just popping that on just like so, and there we are. High grade ground Gundam complete. But yeah, even though the actual ground Gundam itself doesn't take too long to build, it's only about 2/3 of the build because the armory you get in here is insane. When it comes to the accessories, you've got the backpack built together fairly simply. We've got the little storage part for the bazooka in here, which slides on in like so, closes up like this, beautiful. As for the cannon itself, this builds up as a whole load of sub-elements because this is a weapon that in the anime and with this particular kit can break down to smaller parts to be stored in the backpack. Once you've built up all the parts, it attaches together into a nice long cannon, just like so. When it comes to shield in here, we've got 3 parts for the color separation up front, and around back a whole bunch of moving parts for attaching it onto the arm and to use as a little bit of a bipod. Next up, the machine gun, again in brilliant detail for a high grade kit. Loads of tiny parts that go together. You've even got the moving stock section around back and a little bit of white for the magazine down below. Absolutely phenomenal. Lastly then is the beam rifle, and just like with the machine gun, so many layers to actually build up to this. You build up the grey section inside with a lot of part separation, the outer part, and then pop on a couple of barrels. Again, the attention to detail on the weapons in here is ridiculously high for a high grade kit. So finally now here's the high grade Gundam ground type, complete out of box with only a little bit of extra effort, and that bit of extra effort is just some panel lining at the front of the face to make some of the details pop, but otherwise it's a straight out of box build. And as it stands as an out-of-box build, I am super impressed by this. Everything is done so nicely, and it really is a perfect Revive style kit. When it comes to the overview, the silhouette of this is absolutely perfect. This definitely is, well, it's not a mass-produced Gundam, but it is a limited production Gundam, and it has that kind of look to it. It's stripped down, it's basic, it doesn't have all of the cool space features the standard Gundam would have, and a lot of the design elements look like they're 100% functional over anything else. Zooming on into the face, and I did panel line this a little bit just to make some of the details pop. The lining on here is very nice. We've stickers for the eyes, the part separation is very nice. Stickers for the head cameras as well, and overall looking extremely sharp and beautiful. When it comes to the torso, the color separation on here is phenomenal. We do have one sticker on here which is for that little white triangle in the middle of the chest, but everything else is color separated. That's a white frame around the yellow vent, the Vulcan gun over on the other side of the chest, and the red cockpit, all perfectly color separated. Around back we do have the absolutely amazing backpack, which I truly love. It does look nice all closed up like this, and it has some great separation and panel lines on it to boot. There is a yellow sticker included for the V on this as well, I will mention. When it comes to the arms, this is Gundam simplified yet again. They're all in the same color the whole way down. There's not much in the lines of panel lines or anything like that, just simple and effective Gundam arms. Down at the waist unit, and this does look very nice. The only sticker required here is the V on the center of the red section, but besides that, everything looks good. Some great panel line opportunities here as well, and the same goes for around back at the butt flap. Nothing really moves, but there's some nice lining potential. The legs on this kit are probably my favorite aspect about it. Again, the same kind of Gundam feel, but extremely angular on this particular kit. We do have opening panels on the sides, and the knee color separation just looks so good. Those little parts for when it kneels down so it can grip into the ground, a very nice touch. The feet on this kit are big, chunky and blocky, I guess, to keep it connected to the ground. Anyway, there's the full 360-degree spin, so you can see everything for yourself in case I forgot to mention anything. Again, it's a nice, chunky, strong-looking Gundam. Again, no over-the-top features, not too many panel lines or anything like that. All really do adhere to the fact that this right here is a production-style Gundam, limited in quantity, but simpler than the RX-78-2, with somewhat similar battlefield performance. So there it is, thrown down side by side with the art. As you can see, pretty much every color you want on this besides those couple of stickers are there. We're missing a little bit of color in the lower thrusters on the bottom of the knees, but pretty much everything is as you'd want it to be. A little bit of detailing up required, but overall it ticks all the boxes, especially when it comes to all the physical detail. So jump now into a size comparison, and there's the RX-79 ground type beside two other very typical old school high grade Gundams. That is the RX-78-2 Granddaddy on the left and the Gundam Mark II Revive on the right. So as you can see, it's pretty much around the same height. It does look mildly shorter than the RX-78-2, but that could be anything going on right there. Otherwise, pretty much around the same. Moving through a few more Gundams now, there's the high-grade Gundam Barbatos, high-grade Freedom Gundam, high-grade Gundam G-Quax, and the high-grade Gundam EX. So when it does come to a Gundam ground type model kit, Bandai knows the heart and soul is the accessories, and they did not disappoint here. This is absolutely insane. In here we have the standard Gundam loadout, which is beam sabers, a shield, as well as a beam rifle, but on top of that we've got a machine gun, the backpack, the cannon, a widespread left hand, as well as a holding hand for the ranged weaponry, as well as this nice little sticker sheet of decals for numbering up your various different units if you do plan to build a squad. Also, this kit can really pull off a real regal looking kneeling pose. So first up in here, when it does come to the hands, we do have a standard pair of fists with the hole in them to hold onto basic weaponry. Now, one thing I will mention is we do have this cool, very nicely designed wrist in here, which is a pair of ball joints. There's a ball joint in the forearm, a cuff, and then a second ball joint to the hand, so it has great articulation. Standard hands, but they've made them work so well. Why don't they do this more often? We do have options for both hands, and for the left hand one, it is this widespread one right here. Again, very simple, but to the point. Actually, simple is doing it a bit of a disservice. That is a very nice widespread left hand right there. The pose on it too, very, very nice. Overall, looking good. The optional hand we have for the right hand side is this one right here, which is a trigger finger hand. So it is nice to have an actual trigger finger hand. Sometimes you have to put long range hands into the old standard fist and it doesn't really look as cool. Bandai really put some heart into this kit. Next up in here, we've got a pair of beam sabers. They pop in like so and look like that right there. Mine did get a little bit warped inside of the box. You can fix that by popping it in a cup of hot, not boiling water. Wait for it to get soft, straighten it out, let it cool, and it should say nice and straight on you. The handle on this right here does have some nice panel line detail molded into it, so give that a little bit of a lining and it'll pop. When the beam saber is not in use, you just pop the beam out of it and you open the side of the leg just like so, where you do have a compartment. You can open this a little bit to display it open, reaching for its beam saber. You can take it all out so you can pop the beam saber onto the little peg that is inside of it, and it closes up like so. Flush, perfect, simple, but like I've been saying about this kit the whole way through, it's simple but absolutely effective. So like I've been mentioning for the last while so far, it is build miss right here on the channel, so that does mean I'm not going through everything the same level that I normally do. So that does mean the absolutely awesome cannon in here is getting the back seat a little bit. So that does, well, quite literally, it's going right on into the backpack. So it can be held in the hand as a big cannon. It can also be used in conjunction with the shield and this little drop down bipod section here as a cool kind of balance for attaching this on top of, while posing your nice crouched ground Gundam holding onto it with both hands. But that's not what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be displaying how this can be put away. So this can be used with the included backpack. The backpack opens up like so and like so. This backpack is from the older high grade kit, but the insert is new. And I mean, it really is a if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing, because this still is beautiful, looks good, has some nice panel lines in there on the back and does exactly what it needs to do. And what that is you can dismantle this down into its elements. It can be broken down into multiple little segments so simply like this for storage as it would have been in the anime. You then grab this insert and all these little slots are where the individual parts attach on in. So there's the end with the handle, the central part then pops on down in here. You actually can't mix these up, which is quite nice. Even the two barrel sections are completely shaped to fit, so you can't put the wrong one in the wrong spot. That is what it's like loaded into it. And then you just slide that on inside the backpack just like so. Look at that, beautiful. We then have a little bit of a slot right here for attaching the cannon's magazine into, and that is a work of art. Just closes up like that and put away for when it's needed. And that is not everything, as this kit keeps on being awesome. Just like I showed in the build, this can open up just like so, pop out, drop down, and that is where you pop that in. It just locks on in like so, push up the bottom, and that looks absolutely phenomenal. One of the coolest accessories there has ever been with some gunpla. Whatever grade, master grade or high grade, it works out so well. I personally prefer the high grade to the master grade, but the level of detail on the accessories here, it's just amazing. Next up in here now is the shield. Nice color separation around front. We've got this part around back. That, of course, is for this to drop down to be used as a bit of a tripod for the weapon. And we do have some moving aspects for where this attaches onto the forearm. There are included decals for attaching onto the front of this. As for the decals in here, these are just sticker style decals. So peel and stick. You peel them off and stick them on just like so. Now, I will mention if you're not too confident with lining up stuff like this, there's always the little kind of soap solution method. That is, you take a tiny little bit of dish soap, pop it in a spray bottle with a lot of water. You can spray it then onto the surface, and then you can move these stickers around on that soap water solution. Then once you've got them exactly where you want them, you can mop it all away and push it out from underneath the stickers with a cotton bud or Q-tip. That is always the thing you can do if you want to get it just right, but I just kind of lash them on. As for attaching on the shield, then it just pops on in, peg into hole like so. Super easy. There is the Well, that kind of just popped off. There is a little bit of a gimmick to this where it can kind of pull away and move forward, but it kind of seems like the slot isn't really strong enough to hold it on there while you move it. Basically, for a shield bash, this can come forward just like so, and again, rotate back into position like that. Again, the included decal is such a cool touch. So now moving on into the long-range weapons, and first off we have the machine gun. The only thing that moves on this is the handle. It flips back just like so. Oh wait, there's another handle right here. So there you go, you can hold it just like this and insert better machine gun sound there. What's interesting about these weapons is there's two long-range weapons and they both use different hands. So the machine gun pops on down into the non-trigger figure hand, or even trigger finger hand, just like so. And that is what it looks like attached. So very, very simple and very, very nice. As for the other weapon we have in here, you can actually just take off the entire hand because we won't be using that anymore. And the other weapon we have in here is the beam rifle. So again, a moving handle up front so it can swing side to side. This one, unlike the machine gun, which can be held in either or hand, can only be held in the included trigger finger hand. I'll also mention that there is some very nice detail on this that does get a little bit washed out by the light. So as you can see, if you get this paneled up nicely on the white segment, it will definitely pop a lot more battle damage all the way with a kit like this. As for attaching this into the hand, it's usual splitting kind of sandwich hand, the beam rifle being the ham, the two halves of the hand being the bread. I'll also mention that the back of the hand is a third piece, so there is 3 pieces to this hand totally, which makes it a little bit more premium than your average high-grade hand. Once the hand is attached onto the beam rifle, it just pops on in like so, and everything, well, speaking too soon there, everything on this kit is ridiculously rock solid and all just works out nicely. Overall, I'm thoroughly impressed with this kit. Just a sticker for the lens in there, by the way, but overall, impressive. So yeah, there is the RX-79 ground type outfitted out with pretty much all of its equipment. The only thing you really can't pop on with everything is the machine gun or the beam rifle. There is nowhere to really attach them on to the kit when they're not in use, but that is really a reason to outfit an entire squad. You can make yourself an 8th MS team or an MS team of your choice with the included decals, and overall, I am so impressed by this kit. I thought it would be nice, but I didn't think it would be this awesome, especially in regard to those accessories. So lastly now, jumping on into the articulation. So as usual, I'm going to start off with the pose. No, first off, the comment on the build. This is not too bad. It does have some of the springy polycapness to it. I'm not sure how it will kind of loosen up over time. The shoulders feeling pretty good with their plastic on plastic, and yeah, as of right now, it hasn't really gone through the ringer or anything like that, so I'm not sure how they'll age, but out of box, it's a nice, sturdy little build. Usual pose. So getting that now into the usual pose, and everything moves very fluidly. It's very nice. Nothing feels loose at all. Nothing's popping off, which is really nice. Overall, you get a good range of motion at pretty much every joint on this, and in the end, you end up with pretty much average articulation out of it. This right here is what we got out of the usual pose. It would have been nice if that toe bend went all the way. There is more inside of it. It's just kind of limited by the design of the armor on top. But yeah, it plays a kind of, it does run the fine line of kind of keeping this kit looking like it needs to look, while at the same time pulling off some nice poses. Again, the Gundam ground type right here is an out-and-out real robot, so it's not going to be pulling off crazy poses really, so you can't hold it against it too much. I like to pose my kits as crazily as possible, so this is a little bit on the limiting side, but you can definitely say it's accurate. So anyway, that right there is it for the review of the RX-79G Gundam ground type, and this is a gold tier, X-gold tier kit right here. I am so impressed by this. I love it to bits. Need more. Anyway, going through the list, I gave this about average for aesthetics. For the year this would have came out, this would have been mind-blowing, as opposed to right now where it still looks so good. This is a Revive era, or I'd even say a post-Revive era high grade that looks phenomenal. It does need some stickers or detailing up for some of the small details all around the place, but besides that, Bandai has nailed it entirely. It is beautiful. When it comes to the articulation on this, about average too. Again, this is a Revive-based kit that is, well, done better than Revive kits usually are. It poses up very nicely. There aren't that many limitations to it, and every time I do pose it, I'm quite happy with the results, especially when you consider just how many over-the-top poses this would be pulling off in universe and in anime. It works well. When it comes to the accessories, this is the star of the show. This is so awesome. Not only do you get a whole lot of accessories in here, but Bandai has given each one so much love. We've got 2 different long-range weapons, being the beam rifle and the machine gun, that have been given perfect detailing and perfect attention to the overall build. Then you've got that massive cannon that has the breakdown gimmick to it, so it can be broken down into the transporting mode, put together for the long range mode. You've got the backpack to carry it in, you can attach the backpack, don't attach the backpack. You've got the shield, which has all the features you'd want. Shield bash, tripod, pretty much everything. You've got the beam sabers and they can be stored in the calves. Everything you'd want the ground Gundam to do or have, it has. So impressed. Finally then, when it does come to the build, it's a nice quick to the point build, so if you do want to build a squad, you can do it. It's very nice, simple, a little bit old school, but old school perfect. This is so nice. I don't know how I missed this kit back in 2018, but if you've missed it or slept on it until now, get yourself one or a few to build yourself a squad. It is that good. Highly recommend. As always, I got this kit right here through those awesome people over at Buy. If you do want one of your own, link down there in the description, and I'll see you again tomorrow for another review. As always, this video right here and every single video I make would not be possible without each and every one of you guys who watches this video, and special thanks at the end of this video right here to those who support on the channel memberships as well as over on Patreon, including Caleb Engelhart, Joe, OG59061, Scotty Thomas, and Simon.